On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Meet President Joe Biden. Hi, Joe. Hello. Hey, Joe, what do you know? Where are you going with that pen in your hand? He is, it's coming out. We're finding out. Information's coming. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Now, honestly, and I got a story to suggest this maybe, I wonder about his health. I wonder if he'll survive this. I think they'll off him before they'll give him a chance to talk about any of this stuff. My guess. We'll see. He's certainly not in good health. We got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. Venezuela stuff, obviously. Major stuff going on with the different cities and crime prevention in Chicago, maybe. Oh, yeah. North Korea issue, kind of strange thing there. Major MAHA stuff. And I've got a huge, not long, but it's super cool. My good friend, Ben Davidson, I like to call him my friend. He's a beautiful man. I don't know much more to say. I've just been following him for so long. It's kind of like some of you guys. I think you're closer to me than we actually are, right? Maybe. But yeah, he's a good guy. But this is specifically about the pole shift, the magnetic field movement. There's a new software that was a satellite that was recently put up, and he talks about that, and that's actually super cool. And we got a few interesting things to talk about, maybe even 3A1 Atlas, just going to throw someone else's perspective on that, because I've come across a lot of information. I've watched a bunch of information, so please, any of you guys, no need to share. I've seen probably almost everything there is to see on the 3A1 Atlas, except this that I'm going to show you. And just want to make sure we're covering it from all angles, because it's odd that everything I've seen, the images that people keep showing are not similar to what I'll show you today. So that's coming up. That's right here. I'm not even burying that far. This is the magnetic field thing way over here, right? And everything in between. It's like a delicious sandwich, folks. All the good stuff's in the middle. President Trump debuts his new newly renovated rose garden patio. I don't know.
The ones that have been my friend, you know what I'm talking about. And you're smart and even brilliant people, but you would tell people, I don't speak to the president much because I always vote with the president.
I assume this is the place where they broke the marble with the pallet jack thing that was jamming through there. Whatever the case is. Oops. This is almost impossible to shut. That's what that is. Here is a Rudy Giuliani. He's got his little brace on, so I mean he got damaged, but he's smiling and stuff, so he doesn't seem too horribly jacked up. So whatever. Going through some stuff with this guy. I'm sure you guys know who these people are. Laura Loomer's talking about him. Whatever. Not the biggest fan. Number of U.S. abortions rise. Actually, post this Dobbs court ruling. What I wanted to point out, and I'm not trying to piss anyone off, though this might do that to you. I'm not trying to. But what is interesting is everything that the left kept telling us when this happens was going to make it harder for people to get abortions. And I guess the numbers are showing sort of the opposite. Now, I would say probably depends where you are. I think there are some states that it's significantly harder to get an abortion, if possible at all, versus others. And in fact, I doubt I was smart enough to put it here. I might have it with the state stuff. No, I didn't put it here. But Texas actually has a very interesting rule that they're trying to pass right now. I'm not even sure if I kept it open. I'll talk about it now while it's in my brain. But the idea that they could sue any provider, anybody within the state of Texas that uses the abortion drug, that pill, right, the day after pill or whatever they call it. I forget the name of it. And then anybody that sends it in, they could sue. I think that's opening stuff up, kind of like the suing gun manufacturers or suing oil companies for carbon creation, right? Like, I feel like it's dangerous to open stuff up like that. So, I don't know. I'm putting it out there. I mean, I think people are going to fall on different sides of it, but certainly I would say be cautious. That's the types of waters that the left typically uses to control people, right? So we've got to be careful when they try to use that against us. LAPD is going to end its short-lived protection for Kamala Harris. Apparently, she's getting her own protection. I don't know. They kind of made a bigger deal about the story. But ultimately, California, under California taxpayers, we're going to be funding it through the Highway Patrol and through LAPD, her security. Now, she, again, was going to get her own security at some point in the near future. What happened, though, is everybody freaked out. They're like, what? First off, we could be getting actual criminals, and you're going to have us waste our time protecting this chick, right? Like, so a lot of people got pissed, and so California backed away from this magnanimous thing they were trying to do where they were going to look like they were the almighty, they were the great ones, and everybody got pissed at them, right? So they shut that down. So, again, I'm sure she's just going to have to get her security that much more quickly. Fundraisers for Joe Biden. Yeah, haven't been going so good. He's got this little presidential library thing that he wants to try to build, or library, as some people like to call it. But anyways, the library is, well, they're having a hard time. One, finding a place to do it officially. Two, to get people to pay for it. Nobody on the Democrat side is really wanting to spend a whole lot of money, probably because so many of them have lost so much money. You see, you spend millions of dollars because you expect to get something in return, but when they lose, you don't get anything in return. You just spent millions of dollars. So you don't do that too many times on a losing cause. And the Democrats right now are essentially the deep state to a degree. There's plenty of deep state Republicans, so I don't think it's that simple. But there's a lot of deep state people, and they are losing funds. They're losing money. Things are drying up. USAID's been cut off. Like, there's just so many things that have been cut off. A lot of the stuff, the pocket rescissions, we'll talk more about a little bit today too, but the pocket rescissions that Trump's doing, he's clawing back billions of dollars that was specifically ending up in the Democrats' pockets. Now, regardless of what they say on the news about what these different programs were and weren't for, DEI, they certainly tie to a lot of it, but much of that was going back into the Democrats' pockets. So fundraising has been a challenge, and Biden's getting a big brunt of it, mostly because he's retarded, and nobody wants to put any money into this dude. He is like a failure beyond failures. And that's the one thing that's pretty sweet about the Democrat Party. They may stick together until you cross them or until you F up. And then they forget about you. You were yesterday's trash. They don't give a shizzle about you. There is no nizzle to shizzle. It's not happening. Live blood moon. It's not. I mean, it is happening today. There was an eclipse going on with it, right? Yay. A moon. And it's cool. It's full moon. I was looking at it this morning, which is gorgeous. It was low on the horizon, so it had kind of a more yellowish color to it, if you will. But, stunning blue moon. Interesting. Like, I guess the live stream might have ended. No, whatever. Yeah. So anyway, at some point they managed to get the blood moon. I believe it's showing over in Asia, this particular eclipse. I think we got another one coming up in a short period of time, I think, which is weird to have them that close together. Anyway. Maybe that's the soul. That might be a solar eclipse. Yeah, that's true, because they're normally really close together. This is a lunar eclipse, which is when the Earth passes over between the sun. So the reason a full moon is because the sun's shining on the moon behind the Earth, if you will, right? And what happens is the Earth actually passes between the sun and the moon, and it creates a shadow on the moon. That's what the eclipse is all about this particular time. Now, we've got a solar eclipse coming up, and that's the opposite. That's when the moon actually passes between the sun and the Earth and eclipses the sun. That one's coming up, I think, in 2 weeks. Again, these are very symbolic from the occult, for I think even the Chinese culture, because they're very lunar-based. So I think, I have to check with my friend on that. I was curious to see if this full moon mattered or whatever. So we'll find out. There was some party they were at originally not long ago, and it was like really cool fireworks and stuff. So whatever. China's crazy. They're back there. So all said. This is an interesting time. And of course, we've got what many are calling something fantastic and again, I think it's Comet. I believe it's Comet. I know a lot of people want to disagree with that, and I'm sure I'm in the minority, because I've come to find that whenever anything exciting becomes the topic, everybody runs towards it. And I think this is Comet. I've watched comets for years. I've been fascinated with comets. Comets have been very representational of dramatic change. Where this one's happening is spectacular. Again, one thing I'm seeing, and I'm not trying to get too terribly deep into this, but one thing I've actually seen that's kind of interesting is, and they've used like the golden mean. That's one thing they've used to prove this is intelligently driven. And I actually see it from the opposite of that. I think the fact that it's coming in the golden mean actually implies that this is part of nature. And I feel like that's the one thing that's weird right now is that we've gone from accepting that there are acts of God or things that God presents us, if you will, in our sky, versus now everything is man-made or controlled by man or controlled by intelligence. And that, to me, kind of gets us away from that spiritual component, makes everything almost closer to AI. Like, I don't know. I just think it's very strange. I think it's a very strange approach. I am still happy to think that, like, I've walked out in nature before. Nature's an amazing thing. I assume there's a nature to space, but a lot of people don't believe that right now. A lot of people believe in the flat earth, which I don't even know how this gets even factored in your minds, but whatever. I'm not trying to be a dick either. I'm just like, I don't even know how that works when something like this presents itself. I assume it's just said it's a bunch of bullshit. So that's usually what happens with anything that is outside of the scope of what they can explain. Shooting stars are sometimes another example. Like, those aren't real. It's like, I've seen them. Yeah, they're not real. Okay. Anyway, so this is still a trip, and many are calling it a comet. I've seen a lot of people use the the telescope, not Hubble, but they have, and this is what I think this one came from. The one that's got the multiple panels, and it can look super, super, super far, and I forget the name of it right now, but whatever. And don't need to email me; it doesn't matter. It's like after the effect. But that telescope they've used to look at it, and that one looks very blurry, and it's not really designed to look at stuff this close. So again, I don't want to do a whole show on this stupid comet. Again, I just want to go out. I think it's a comet. Now, is that symbolic in its own right? Yes. Could that be doing something to the energetics of this solar system? Yes. Is it weird that it's passing where it is? No. A lot of them do that. That's not uncommon. That's not uncommon. Not uncommon. And as Ben Davidson says, the tail seems to be going in the proper direction. Is it uncommon for it to be CO2? No. Does that imply there's people inside breathing? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, by the way. That the fact that it's emitting CO2 implies that there's people in it. That is quite possibly one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. And I say that because if you look at the Earth and you look up, and I ask you to Google this, I'm not going to give you the number right now, and I'd be slightly off if I told you because I forget it's one or the other. It's like 0.4 or 0.6% of our atmosphere is carbon dioxide. It's a tiny amount. If there was so much where it was just bleeding off carbon dioxide, then it would be bleeding off what they do breathe also. Otherwise, they die or they're dead. Again, this is some weird, weird stuff. I know a lot of you guys are disagreeing with me. Sorry.
Eclipse. Folks, we have new shots of Comet I3 Atlas. These come from Gemini, and they show a very comet-looking object. If it's not a comet, it already thinks it's Halloween. It has its comet costume on. Also, folks, as you can clearly see, the tail is opposite its motion. No clue why the internet is saying otherwise, but the tail is, in fact, behind it. And
so there you go. Again, I don't trust those images, right? I trust the ones I've been shown. So again, it's just funny. A lot of stuff going on. Oh, I'm getting the hell off this topic now. Trump revives the Department of War. That officially did happen, and apparently Pete Hegseth changed his nameplate. Trump also warns any Venezuelan planes threatening U.S. ships will be shot down. This is a pretty big deal. Check it out.
Venezuela flies jets over U.S. naval vessels again.
Well, I would say they're going to be in trouble. We'll let them know about that. We heard that happen, but it wasn't really over, not like they described. But I would say, General, if they do that, you have a choice of doing anything you want, okay? If they fly in a dangerous position, I would say that you can, you or your captains can make the decision as to what they want to do, all right? Sure.
Sir, how close did they get? You said they didn't go over.
Say it?
How close did they get? You said the planes did not.
Well, I don't want to talk about that, but if they do put us in a dangerous position, they'll be shut down. Thank you very much, everybody.
That's it. If they put us in a dangerous position, they will be shot down. And by the way, just to go back to the comet thing, the one individual everyone keeps citing, the scientist, is a Harvard scientist. Everyone's like, he's a renowned scientist from one of the greatest places ever. No, they're not. And we've seen that true baked out. So you guys, anyway, just factor all that stuff in. This is a dude from scientists, one scientist guy, former NASA. Okay, doesn't mean he's going to tell you the truth. Be careful, guys. Be careful. All I can say is learn to discern. I know not. It's sexy and it's fun to run down the rabbit holes, but just be careful when you insist they're correct. That's where I'd say be careful, because that's where I see a lot of people get mean for no reasons, just because somebody doesn't agree with you. 9/11, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget how mean people can be. It's just weird. That's like how I felt when I watched Passion of the Christ, right? That scene where they're just throwing rocks at Jesus and shit like that. I was so mad at humankind for how mean people are. Some people are so mean. And man, I have zero respect for that. That's so shitty. Really frustrating. I don't get it. You're just not allowed to question things. Never have been. Never have been. It's one of the hardest things about quote unquote being awake. That's lots of fun. JD Vance getting a little fight with Brian Krasenstein. I don't really know who he is. I think he's a Democrat of some kind. But he says killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. Then he says, JD Vance goes, Democrats, let's send your kids to die in Russia. Republicans, actually, let's protect our people from the scum of the earth. And then Brian Cranston's like, killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. And JD Vance says, I don't give a shit what you call it. Now, here's the thing. I think it's entirely possible that what Trump is showing us isn't entirely true. Like the images I've seen, and I agree with somebody else was saying this, I don't remember who the hell it was. But like when you look at the images, it doesn't really look like there's 11 people in it, the boat. My guess is they took out more than one boat. But yeah, the boat that they showed us, it looked like it only had 3-4 people in it. And again, there's just a lot of factors that would come into play. So what I think they did, I think they nailed top cartel members that were either transporting themselves someplace rather than flying, knowing they weren't going to get away with it, or they didn't want to be obvious. They'll take a boat. I actually think there was something along those lines. I don't think it's what we're being told. I don't think we blew up a boat with a bunch of drugs in it. I don't actually think that's fully true. So, again, doesn't mean Trump's a liar. It means there's optics, there's things at work, and sometimes we can't be fully forward with what is actually happening at the time it's actually happening. So we've got to sometimes be able to read between the lines. I think it's important to, again, learn to discern. Something we're all having to learn how to do better. Kash Patel posted this. The FBI is putting all cartels on notice. We're not playing defense. We're eliminating drug and cartel trafficking at the source. With Los Choneros and Los Lobos now designated as foreign terrorist organizations, their drug money pipelines are drying up. If you poison our communities, the FBI will find you, and we will end your criminal empire. America will lead, and the cartels will fall. And Dan Bongino, I think he was responding to him or whatever. So, whatever. I love it. I love it. Here's Stephen Miller. He looks badass, too. I love how he comes out with the sunglasses. Granted, it's sunny, and it looks like the sun's shining straight on him based off of where the reflection on his forehead is. No offense, sir. It's just trying to use any of the facts that I can get ahead of me, right? But there does seem to be a little bit of a shiny spot right there. And so I'm assuming that the sun's coming off you at like an 11 o'clock, if you will. All said, you look good in your glasses, sir. Here's Stephen Miller. Well, kind of talking about this whole drug campaign. I haven't actually listened to this yet. It's 2:26, and I'm going to, whatever the hell. Let's speed it up a teeny bit. I love this dude. First up, quality's good. Just make sure the quality's on top, and then on top of that, playback speed 1.25 speed. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Stephen Miller. Probably saying some really cool-ass shit. I don't know. We'll find out.
Nicolas Maduro is an indicted drug trafficker. He's indicted in federal court. He's a fugitive from justice in America. As I think you're also aware, there's a $50 million reward for the return of Nicolas Maduro. Not just him, his henchmen have also been indicted. So it is a drug cartel that is running Venezuela. This is a very important point. It's not a government, it is a drug cartel, a narco-trafficking organization that is running Venezuela. And this has been documented in federal court, and indictments have been secured. The people of Venezuela have been suffering and struggling under the reality of a nation that is so rich in resources, so rich in reserves, that is run by Maduro, the head of the cartel that you referenced, the Cartel de los Sols. That is absolutely one of the most ruthless criminal cartels on the planet. And many Americans may not realize that the drugs killing their kids are coming from Maduro And also the criminal aliens killing their kids are coming from Maduro. So he's sending his drugs, he is sending his killers, his assassins into our communities, and he's working directly with other designated foreign terrorist organizations like the FARC in Colombia and all the Mexican drug cartels. So it's one continuous loop. And for decades and for years, for generations, we used our military to engage in action against terrorists in the Middle East and in Africa, while leaving unharmed the terrorists in our own hemisphere who are responsible for so much more American deaths, so many more American deaths, who have spilled so much blood across the Western Hemisphere, who have bereaved so many parents and families, and who have contributed to such a horrific cycle and just nonstop, relentless surge of violence in our cities. Every major city in America is suffering from cartel violence. Even the U.S.-based gangs are working directly with these cartels. The drugs, the guns, the weapons, the cash, the organization. We've been occupied by cartels for far too long. President Trump is finally allowing and directing the United States military to use its authorities under the Constitution to defend America from the terrorist organizations that have run free for too long in our own hemisphere. Thank you all. Thank you for the question.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I say. Love it. Here's Donald Trump. No patience for fake news today. I don't know. Pretty good stuff that he covers here. He kind of covers a few different bases, a bunch of stupid questions. It's one of those unfortunate things where you've got the APU noise in the background, which is I forget it's the engine they use to start planes. It's essentially a generator, but it's actually an actual engine that runs. It's just a little more efficient. All said, all power unit, something. Anyway, drawing a blank. And it is, it's how they typically start the helicopter really quickly. So that's why you always hear that news in the background, or that noise in the background. Whatever the case is, that's unfortunate. I can't get that fixed. I'll at least do the best I can with the volume. But the noise is a bummer. But here's Trump answering a number of questions, certainly in regards to what's going on with Venezuela and also some other stuff.
President Trump.
That's fake news. When you say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why would you the Department of Defense?
Listen, be quiet. Listen. You don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second rate. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense.
Are you ready to move to the second phase? Are you ready to move to the second phase of sanctions against Russia or punishing Putin? How was your call with the Prime Minister? What do you think of all the establishment attacks on RFK Jr.?
Well, he's a different kind of a guy. He's got a lot of good ideas, but he's got a lot of ideas. You know, normally they don't have any ideas, and that's why we have problems with autism and so many other things, because we're coming up with the answers for autism. You watch. We're coming up with the answers for other things that normal people, regular people, easy to get along with people wouldn't be able to do. He's got a lot of ideas, and so do I, and we're going to clean it up. Why? Let me ask you. Yeah. Really higher than Chicago? You're not. Excuse me. Do you know how many people were killed in Chicago last weekend? 8. You know how many people were killed in Chicago the week before? 7. You know how many people were wounded? 74 people were wounded. You think there's worse than that? I don't think so. Who does? We'll respond to that later.
Are you considering attacking the cartels inside of Venezuela? You attack?
Well, you're going to find out. You're going to find out. Say it. I don't know anything about that. I had a great conversation with him. Say hello to him. He's a good man.
All right, very good stuff. And I looked it up. Auxiliary Power Unit, APU. Anyway, I was correct on that. And by the way, for those of you that have ever seen airplanes, right, they're just sitting there at the tarmac, and they got that little black exhaust tube right out in the back, right in their butt, right in the back butt of the airplane. There's a black tube, and it's always kind of belching out something. Not smoke, but heat, it seems, right? Steam, probably. That is the APU. So it's an actual engine running, by the way, and it's creating enough power to be able to, one, power the aircraft, all the crap, the air conditioning, but also when they go to start the engines, it's also able to power that. And they can only do one at a time. Anyway, it's a little geeky stuff, but anyway. So that noise is the APU, is what you're hearing. and they're going to use that to start the helicopter. It's why it's able to start itself rather than having to rely on equipment that they used to have to do. That was the old school stuff. Tiffany Meyer, lovely young lady. South Korea says they have a deal reached. So we know that they're sending these people back to North Korea. I don't feel like this story covers that well, but they do cover the entire thing well. And this is kind of a trippy story. Hopefully, it has to do with a plant here in this United States. It's in Georgia, and it was a Korean Hyundai manufacturer, but the people, a bunch of the people were not here working for Hyundai per se. I'll try to cover that more if I need to, but this story is a trip.
475 illegal immigrants have been arrested at a Hyundai facility in Georgia. Homeland Security Investigations says it was the largest single-site operation they've conducted. South Korea expressed concerns in its reaction to the raid. NTD correspondent Jason Blair has more.
The investigation resulted in the arrest of 475 individuals and is focused on ensuring accountability for those who violate the law and uphold the rule of law.
The largest single-site raid in the history of Homeland Security investigations took place at a Hyundai plant in southern Georgia on Thursday. Special Agent in charge Stephen Schrank confirmed that many of the detainees are from South Korea.
There was a majority of Korean nationals from the 475.
South Korea's foreign ministry spokesperson reacted and said that officials have been in touch with the U.S. Embassy in Seoul.
The economic activities of our companies investing in the United States and the interests of our citizens must not be unduly violated during the course of U.S. law enforcement.
Several other agencies, including the FBI and ICE, were also involved in the operation.
As we had determined through our investigation in advance and certainly experienced yesterday, there was a network of subcontractors and subcontractors for the subcontractors there. So the employees worked for a variety of different companies that were on the site.
Hyundai said in a statement, as of today, it is our understanding that none of those detained is directly employed by Hyundai Motor Company. FBI Atlanta says, quote, "We remain committed to upholding the law and working closely with our partners to ensure accountability and maintain the integrity of our communities." The arrest took place at the Hyundai LG battery plant construction site. The site spans about 3,000 acres in Elabel, Georgia, which is about 20 miles outside of Savannah. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Jason Blair, NTD News.
Tiffany's much hotter, but good job, sir. We've got a bit of a conundrum here. 400 people or so arrested from South Korea that weren't actually working for Hyundai, that were in a Hyundai factory. Interesting. Now, again, sure, I bet a bunch of them were just illegal immigrants or some sort of ring they had going on, probably through that plant. Probably, don't know. I'm alleging, don't know, but probably. Think about that. Think about how many of these rings are happening. Think about what stuff is being done. Think about how the governments have impact in these areas. USAID, stuff like that. Like, these are the little networks that you pop one of these out. You just took out like one of the lead factories of dissent or communication. They were hiding within our own facilities. I think this is a significantly bigger story and represents a larger problem, one of which we're not going to hear about all the arrests, but there will be some. We'll hear about the ones that probably don't scare us as badly, because this is in our defense industries. This is in everywhere. Where the unions are at, be careful. Again, I know I'm unhappy with some, or some people are unhappy with me for a lot of the stances I take. It's part of the fun of staying in the middle. A lot of people trying to run off to different directions. I feel like the right's trying to get a little crazy back to, we got to force the pendulum back. No, pendulum's fine where it's going. The crazy left, you don't be crazy right, or else you're going to end up in the same boat. Okay? Let's stick close towards the center-ish, roughly. This is where most of the greener pastures are. It's where most people are. Okay? Wherever you're at on that, find some common ground in that area, because that is where most people are. And we'll probably all get along perfectly. Swimmingly, some would say. Which is kind of a weird statement, I think, right? Swimmingly? That's gay. Anyway, Microsoft says Azure, I think it's how you're supposed to say it. Azure. I don't know. I always never liked it. It's a service that's affected by the damaged Red Sea cables, apparently. It's going to affect Middle East, Asia, and Europe. The Azure cloud stuff is a Microsoft thing. I believe a lot of their stuff's kept on this Azure cloud. Like, when you get into the Microsoft cloud network, all their shit's up on there. That's all through Azure. So this will suck badly. It sucked for a lot of American companies that have outsourced their IT, I'm thinking. Or I mean code writing mostly, but whatever. I think it's going to affect them probably very adversely. Middle East, Asia, and Europe is where a lot of that work went. So I just find that to be ironic a little bit. Don't know. Who knows, right? We're just figuring this stuff out. Folks, look, one thing we're seeing is a lot of badness going on with the stock market and with everything. The dollar is not gaining strength. Well, the Federal Reserve, no. Let's be very specific. Staying in this system is not necessarily the best idea, and a lot of people don't know, where can I go? What does precious metals do? Quickly, in the nuts and bolts, the easy, the skinny, is it protects your wealth. It takes your buying power and it holds it. And what I mean that as is what you're able to buy, what $100 will buy you right now, if you transfer that into precious metals, like 10 years from now, typically, even further, and I'm not saying you're doing this long, but this is just to make a point. 10 years from now, that same amount of silver, most likely, that you bought for $100 back then, and what it could buy then, it's probably worth, $200 and something now, but you can still buy that same amount of stuff, that same stuff. It holds the buying power. It may not hold the dollar amount. No, it won't, because the value of whatever the thing is that you were buying, your purchasing power, that's actually going to cost more because of inflation. So whatever you compare it to, the precious metals holds that value. It protects your buying power. This, I think, is one of the best ways to protect as much of your wealth as you can, because otherwise you're losing it every day with the loss of the value of the dollar, right, with the inflation. And we lose it when the stock market has a big, hard day. Many people are expecting, many people, this thing seems to stay alive. They keep manufacturing news to keep the numbers going. Like somehow the stock market, people are like, they're rallying today. It's like, why? I don't know. They don't know what to do. I don't know if the Fed's still pumping money. I don't know. I don't know if they're certainly not being honest with us. But what's happening in the world right now is very, very weird. And the stock market is not. It's supposed to have a bad day. The world markets are going to have a bad day, by the way. There will be a stock market crash of the world in the near future. Get out of their system. Take your buying power with you. Hang on to it until we get through this rocky road. Then get back in however you want, however you can, whatever. But the opposite playbook on that one is not necessarily a good place, especially when we think we've got a new currency coming into play. How they're going to value that, probably against precious metals and certainly assets like precious metals and maybe oil and stuff like that, depending. But precious metals will for sure be a part of that. And there's a lot of discussion around how they're going to try to tag the dollar to precious metals. I don't think that happens until after the Fed is dealt with, and that's got to happen with them not raising the rates, lowering the rates, whatever, like the way they're supposed to, right? And that actually causing further problem. The crash is coming, and they need it to. Hopefully it's not horrible, but protect yourself, and you can protect yourself, and you can protect a huge amount of your wealth by going to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. My good friends at Goldco can help you out, certainly a partner. You're helping the channel for sure. But drslikesgold.com, get out of that system. Get out of it. They'll do it tax-free, penalty-free. They'll cross all the T's and dot the I's. They will give you up to 10% free silver. Probably a free Ronald Reagan coin, half-ounce collectible coin, Ronald Reagan's face on it. It's pretty freaking sweet. You're also going to get your wealth protection kit, your retirement playbook, how this IRA works. It is literally physical metals. It is all the things that it needs to be. And they've got the best customer service for all your questions. They make it simple. They've got DocuSign, things like that. They can make this very, very simple. This can take months, or it can take a week or 2 or 3. I'll tell you what, Goldco makes that possible, whatever time frame you're looking at. You've got all sorts of stuff you can read if you need to. Like, again, there's a lot to do. It's a powerful statement. It's a powerful movement. It's a powerful protection. There's a lot of steps. Let my friends help you. DRS, likesgold.com. DRS, likesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. All right, some stuff going on with the states. Janine Pirro, is like ashamed to call District of Columbia a state, but I'm just lumping it into all this specific nonsense. There was the 2 teenagers, well, there was 3 total, that did a shooting of a congressional intern in June in D.C. This was some of what pissed off Trump and got a lot of these movements started. This shooting, the 2 of the individuals of the 3 that did this crime, 2 of them are actually arrested now. Janine was talking about this. So they've got these individuals. The 3rd one's still out there, but likely will be taken down. These 2 teens will be charged as adults, which is interesting and new, so that's kind of fantastic. More than 1,900 arrests have been made in Washington, D.C. since federal takeover of policing has happened. So we have a lot of movement. A lot of movement. They're taking over 200 illegal guns off the street, which is 200 less people that are going to be just randomly shooting people that shouldn't be shooting people, because people with legal guns don't just shoot people. We don't do that, by the way. It's the funny thing. I own guns. I don't shoot people. I don't even just walk outside and start shooting them. Frankly, I live in California. My God, like if you're anywhere near a house here in California and try to shoot a firearm, good Lord, you got cops coming soon. They're going to figure out who it is. I don't need that kind of stuff happening, right? Right? There you go. But yeah, Liberation Day in D.C., it's totally happening. DOJ concludes federal oversight of the Seattle PD after 13 years. This tripped me out. So the Department of Justice was in charge of Seattle's police department up until very recently. They finally kicked them out. United States versus City of Seattle. This is probably what they very heavily used. This started back in 2011, by the way. What they very heavily used to corrupt Seattle, so they could have the City of Love moment they had. This is very interesting what we're finding out. And now this thing's ended because Trump could use this to take over Seattle and actually make it safe. I don't think it's going to matter because he's going to probably have done this in Chicago. Now, here's the way he's going to do it, and here's the way he is doing it. I don't think I'm giving anything away. If I am, whoops. But I don't think I am. What he's doing is he's going, all right, Chicago, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do an ICE raid. Whoops, did that leak? Okay. And so whenever ICE is going to do an ICE raid, that means facilities are going to start getting prepared for it, the ICE facilities, the government facilities. And when the people rise up, they get mad at the federal buildings. When they get mad at the federal buildings, now Trump can bring in the National Guard like he did in Los Angeles. That court case isn't quite finalized, but it will be soon. So these things, once the Los Angeles case are finalized, which will be soon, they're done. And the ICE raids will begin to happen because the second people freak out, National Guard comes in, that city's secured. Now, are they going to try to go after multiple cities at one time? Possibly. Maybe up to 14. Maybe 17. Maybe 19. I keep hearing stupid numbers, but it doesn't matter. One of them will be true. Will it be multiple cities? Yeah, they'll hit the hardest, biggest cities first, so people can't move and scatter. Probably. This will be, I think, a lot of the stuff that's been foretold, if you will. So this is kind of a weird part of this whole thing that I didn't realize Seattle, like they literally, the DOJ's been using this obviously to make Seattle worse. There was discussions in the article about career law enforcement being pissed that they no longer, they were losing people and couldn't rehire. It was, anyways, just so all this nonsense. Shocking video shows Ukrainian refugee fatally stabbed in a Charlotte train by a criminal that was schizophrenic and had been arrested many times. Many times. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 times at least. 34-year-old, definitely schizophrenic. He's got some issues. Stabs a chick on the train, and the lady died or was pronounced dead in the train car or in the train station. And this dude's walked a bunch of times. And again, Charlotte, North Carolina, blue city in a red state. I wonder if the governor's going to ask for help from Trump, because this sounds like they need help. Now, again, this guy was mentally deranged, but still, those need to be dealt with too. We've got to figure out how to deal with that in society. Again, I've said it before. Homelessness is a big problem, and it's complex. There's basically 3 different groups. There's people that don't want to be homeless, and you can get them off, and they want to get off. That's not, they're on accident, basically. There's drug users that will probably never, ever want to be sober. And then you've got people that are actually mentally issued. And that's your, 333. It's kind of, they break into groups like that. So, yeah, homelessness is not a simple thing. You can't throw money at it. That's not going to fix it, ever. And a lot of these people don't want to be inside. So you've got to figure out places where you can help them and still be humane, essentially. Trump has taken this dim city to court over its sanctuary policies. A different city, but Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, she is, they're going after them hard now. This is official. Pam Bondi was talking about it. I think I've actually got some of that audio right here with Fox News. Check it out.
It is illegal to tip someone off. It endangers the lives of our law enforcement officers. That's why these sanctuary cities are so incredibly dangerous. Yeah, Michelle Wu is one of the worst offenders in the entire country. She says Boston is safe. It's not. A Haitian national is charged with raping a child at a migrant center. An 18-year-old illegal alien from Haiti molested a 10-year-old child. An illegal from El Salvador. 11 counts of rape against a child. I could go on and on about the crimes in the Boston area. So if she's not going to protect the people of Boston, we are. President Trump cares deeply about this country and the safety of Americans. We don't care where you live. We're going to protect you. And yes, you cannot have a sanctuary city in the United States of America. No longer. We sued her. We're going to protect all citizens, even the ones who live in Boston, because if she's not going to protect them, we are. Remember, Michelle Wu is the one that when an off-duty police officer stopped a knife-wielding man, she offered condolences for the criminal defendant and not the police officer, who was heroic.
Yes.
Is illegal.
Still cute, though. Whatever the case is, Wu is... Fuck. Wu is not... No Wu. No Wu. Trump posts this, or reposted. I posted this, I guess. A picture of him, AI generated, of course. Chip-pocalypse now, getting ready for Chicago, I'm assuming. But it says, I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. Oh, they're totally just, they're totally messing with these people. J.B. Pritzker says he has moles in Trump's administration and military feeding him information on Trump's law enforcement operations. Claims DHS plans to invade Chicago neighborhoods. I hope this isn't true. It's in Gateway Pundit, so I doubt it. I mean, that lends far less credibility to it, though they break all sorts of crazy stuff, don't get me wrong. But they are so... Oh, my gosh. Anyway, CanCon posted this breaking news. Marjorie Taylor Greene issued a formal request of the DOJ and FBI into Georgia's 2020 election. This has to do, I think, with that board and the fact that board hasn't put those 2 Republican people onto it, even though the court said they had to. So she's essentially trying to get an investigation either from the FBI or the Department of Justice. So it's written to both of the people accordingly for that, signed by her. We don't need to read it or anything. Damning evidence emerges in the Biden AutoPen scandal. Well, what we're finding is, Biden didn't know what was going on. He allegedly gave verbal approval for some commutings for crack cocaine, but those documents weren't signed until, 6 days after this verbal communication, supposedly. And only after a series of panicked late-night emails between White House staff trying to establish some semblance of proper authorization. You see, there's a whole bunch of emails from all sorts of staff members that are asking all sorts of questions about what did you mean, questions about some of the verbiage within some of these legal documents. Like, what do you mean by this? So all of this stuff is being heavily questioned. I don't want to get into all the itty-bitty details, but there's all sorts of people emails, stuff they couldn't delete. There may be some people that aren't admitting to Biden's unhappy health, but no, this AutoPen thing's kind of a different story altogether. They've got a lot of evidence that suggests Biden didn't have a clue what the hell he was quote-unquote signing. And he should have been signing it anyways. Now, again, is he going to survive? I don't think so. Biden, 82, spotted with a massive scar on his head after getting skin cancer removed, is what Jill said. Okay. It's a line. You don't get a line of skin cancer. You get a line when you fall. Full of shit. Skin cancer is like a funky shape. Well, they did do a stitch up. Who knows? But he fell. This dude fell and busted his ass. Let's see if they got... I thought they had a picture. I thought there was a better one. Yeah, well, whatever. I don't know. It is what it is, but he is a doof. I mean, he could very easily have fallen, right? But he is definitely like... I mean, Forrest Gump was smarter than him, but he didn't fall. This dude's retarded. I swear. He was president forever. I mean, that just goes to show everybody in the DEI spectrum was allowed to be president, right? I mean, we didn't get a black woman yet, but they got a black man, so that's, I mean, it's kind of close enough. We haven't gotten a woman yet. Let's see what rainbow color that turns out to be. Trump says Justice Department has done its job on Epstein case. Yeah, he's like, we've given everything we've got. Again, I'm curious to see where this all goes, what people expect, right? Like, okay, we gave you all the documents. Here's all the documents. All right. And then they go through them and they're like, we're not seeing what we're expecting to see. You didn't give us all the documents. Says who? I mean, again, the stuff in investigations. Are we ever going to really know? I don't know. I'm not. Whatever. So this document thing lives on. Trump's like, now I don't care about these. And again, I kind of feel like we're tricking them. This is so weird because it seems like it's a hardcore bait and switch. This feels so much like an extreme bait and switch. And it seems like the Dems are falling for it. And they're not only falling for it, they're codifying it, which is actually going to make it worse for them. So again, I think there's a lot of that. I think there's this fear that Trump's in the documents. And that's maybe like Trump's like, there's nothing in the of this one pic that was the best they had. Maybe. I mean, the one with he drew a girl with boobies or whatever around the outside of it and then wrote, I doubt that happened. Trump certainly says he didn't do it. So stupidity is all over the place right now. Judge orders Trump admin to release billions in frozen foreign aid funding. This is Judge Ali, I believe. I don't know if I'll find the name quick enough. But yeah, this individual is trying to say that Trump has to spend the money that he, foreign aid that's set to expire at the end of the month. This is that pocket rescission stuff. And Judge Amir Ali in September has decided that he must spend it. He's not going to. This will get appealed. Again, not going to waste time getting too much into the details because it's just going to get appealed. We'll talk more about it as the appeal process happens. That's what they're trying to do thus far. Tulsi Gabbard explaining how the intelligence community uses leaks from anonymous sources to usurp the president of the United States and undermine the will of the people. There was a story, and I think I lost it somewhere, and I apologize if I did, but we supposedly are getting, like, something came up from 2019 when Trump was first president, some weird CIA type op that was happening, but the intelligence was probably doing stuff Trump didn't know, and we know that Trump wasn't fully in control of everything. So again, their stuff's getting leaked out that's meant to try to damage Trump, like he did this in his first term. Tulsi Gabbard trying to explain how a lot of this is bullshit, frankly.
It undermines our Constitution, our democratic republic, when we have people within our government who are not the President of the United States, who are not elected by the American people, taking it upon themselves to undermine, ultimately, the American people and the Constitution. These people have gotten away with these kinds of activities for so long because they're protected by an entire system that is built to shield their nefarious activities. And they do this with the assistance and the protection of the deep state and the propaganda media. And those of us who have been targeted by this deep state are very familiar with the tactics. Keep this in mind. This happens frequently in real time as we gather here today, where someone in the intelligence community leaks classified intelligence to their friends in the propaganda media. Those individuals in the propaganda media eagerly print this classified intelligence from unnamed sources. Then we see other people in the media talk about this classified intelligence. No one's verified it. No one's done any kind of vetting. No one has done any basic journalistic work. And then we see politicians repeating and talking about this thing that was leaked to the media. And we've seen how this tried and true playbook that is used over and over again to either smear their opponents, to, in President Trump's case, to be used as a basis for FBI raids on his home, lawfare, impeachments, endless investigations, and so forth. So I get asked oftentimes by people who don't come to events like this, who are just working hard and trying to raise a family and trying to get by, and they say, what is the deep state? People talk about the deep state. What is it? This is what we're talking about. It's not some grand conspiracy theory. It is a conspiracy to undermine the Constitution, but this is the reality that we are operating in. And it's important for us to talk about it, to be very clear-eyed about it, so that we can combat it with the truth. And this is why exposing the truth is so important, to bring about that real transparency and that accountability.
Amen. Right? Love what she's doing. Love the work she's doing. So, again, a lot of stuff's going to just keep getting leaked, and we're going to see our side of the fence get all pissy, too, from multiple time to time. EU lawmakers skeptical of the digital euro as the ECB renews pitch. So the European Central Bank, they're trying to do another digital coin, digital push. They've been trying to push this since 2023. This is still going back to that whole control. Europe trying to be communistically taken over. Now, we are seeing a lot of people in Europe are fighting that. We'll talk more about that coming up here after on the EU section, actually. Right here is where we'll talk a bunch about that. There's some just crazy shit going on. Everyone's figuring out the immigration thing. It's all coming from Africa. Rather than solving the problem in Africa, we just flood every Western country with people that do not share the same ideologies in any way, shape, or form. It isn't meant to disrupt. It's intentional. They did this. This was part of the Georgia Guidestones, basically, or wherever that was written in Project 2025 or whatever. I don't know. Project 2021. I forget whatever. Project 2030, Agenda 2030. I don't know. One of those stupid conspiracy things. They talked about how they were doing this. They straight up tell us. So there you go, right? Whatever one it is. It's that one. I forget which one it is. Trump threatens retaliatory tariffs against Europe and other U.S. For the U.S. tech firms. So there's some major fines that have happened. Google got fined $3.5 billion. Apple's $17 billion that they already got fined. And Trump's basically going, look, here's the deal. We're going to actually go into this whole new Section 301, whatever that is, and tariffs. And we are going to start tariffing you guys for these obscene fines and ridiculous fines. You guys cannot control American companies. That's it. End of story. So Trump is literally defending these companies. I think that's why a lot of them had their thing at the White House recently. They all were making up numbers. There was a Hot Mic episode where Zuckerbuck, I think, was talking about, $600 billion. He's like, I didn't know what the right number was to say. So I think Google matched what he said and whatever. So these numbers sound like they're just kind of somewhat made up anyways, but we'll see what really, really happens. But Trump's like, look, I got your back, you got my back. And I'm assuming these companies want to make more money, so they're going to try to scratch Trump's back. We'll, again, see how it plays out. Donald Trump trooped this in regards. Europe today hit another great American company, Google, with $3.5 billion fine, effectively taking money that would otherwise go to American investments and jobs. This is on top of the many other fines and taxes that have been issued against Google and other American tech companies in particular. Very unfair, and the American taxpayer will not stand for it. As I have said before, my administration will not allow these discriminatory actions to stand. Apple, as an example, was forced to pay $17 billion in a fine that, in my opinion, should not have been charged. They should get their money back. We cannot let this happen to brilliant and unprecedented American ingenuity, and if it does, I will be forced to start a Section 301 proceeding to nullify the unfair penalties being charged to these tax-paying American companies. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Biatches, basically. NASDAQ futures are, well, let's get to the futures page. I was curious on this one because it's going to change more. So it's still early in the day. It's 12:27 right now, my time. Not mountain time, I'll tell you that. It's right here. We're talking about futures. And Dow Jones up a teeny tiny bit. Everything's down a teeny tiny bit. Gold showing down a teeny tiny bit. Well, $13. It's actually not bad. Silver down hardly any, 4 cents. But both of them up tremendously, 36.39 for gold right now. It was 33.50 was the floor just, 2-3 weeks ago, guys? Right? Remember that? I used to say it for a long time. We'll hit another floor at some point. I don't know where it's at. Maybe we're close to it right now. $300 jump, though, between these two floors. That's a big jump. That's a big adjustment for the dollar. Silver, 41.50. It was 38 was a big cap at one point, but 37 and change is where it was floating for most of the time. It's up at 41 and a half, and it's been hovering there. That might be the new floor. Again, huge jump. We're not messing around with the stuff I'm talking about. Got some interesting information with MAHA. First off, Kennedy's going kind of full bore on this chick that got fired, and she's now kind of making shit up about why she got fired. And Kennedy's like, look, I'm coming straight out and telling people, here's what I found out. First off, he said in the Senate thing, and I think he was trying to hold back because he was trying to be respectful, but he's like, I asked her specifically if she was trustworthy, and she said no. And he says, would you continue working with someone that answered your question that way? Like, no, you wouldn't. And so he's digging in deeper and giving us a little more intel. Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, that individual actually came to my attention because early on during the measles outbreak, I promised Governor Abbott to send some money down, badly needed money, and help down to Texas. And this individual blocked that money for a month. I couldn't figure out what's happening. I gave the order. I'm running this agency. How come nothing's happening? And then we tried to get the vaccine safety data link, which is the data that supposedly the CDC tries to use to make good decisions on whether vaccines are hurting people and not whether there are side effects. For 7 months, he stonewalled us so that we could not get that data. He's also the individual that runs the VAERS system, which is the surveillance system for injuries, that captures, according to CDC's own study, fewer than 1% of vaccine injuries. This is malpractice. These people are the people who ordered our children to walk around en masse. They're the people who closed our schools. They're the people who imposed social distancing with no science, shut down our businesses, and they need to go. We need new blood, and we need new people who are committed to public health and integrity and gold standard science. And the Trump administration is going to make sure that happens.
You know, Secretary,
I love this guy. I love him. Kenvue, I guess that's the company that makes Tylenol. Apparently their stocks are taking a bit of a hit because of, at least as Wall Street Journal's reporting it, so take it for what it's worth. But the pregnant woman use possibly being behind the cause of autism. Now, this is, again, an interesting moment. Now, a lot of people forever have been saying, have been insisting, and I've been right there with it, that what's in the vaccines, vaccine schedule, all that kind of stuff, that has to be behind what's causing autism. And I want to see information, I want to see data, but I will say I trust RFK Jr. when it comes to what he's telling us. I trust him. I do. And so this is one of those moments where everybody, like Epstein, everybody's got it stuck in their head already that it's because of X, Y, and Z. And if RFK Jr. doesn't come out and confirm that, well, then it's obviously not true. And this, I think, is one of the most interesting things about what's happening today. I mean, it's partially why I'm sharing this story. The story is meant to stand on its own. Vigilant Fox's Substack I don't particularly care about per se. No offense, Vigilant Fox, but it was just meant to be you in the same place where I saw the story about how it could be tied to Tylenol during pregnancy, and then to see somebody instantly doubling down on the, it's because of vaccines. And it's like, maybe, but again, there is zero evidence. There's a lot of people with speculation, a lot of scientists that are credible as hell speculating. Have they been able to do the studies? No. Have they really been able to get their hands on data? No, because nobody's allowed them to. So, again, there's a lot of people that claim all sorts of shit. This is the one thing that's also frustrating. It was many things that's frustrating, frankly. Especially with some of the crazy stories I come across on a regular basis. It's like, are you shitting me? Especially the CO2 one. I'm sorry. It's because there's probably about 10 million people breathing on there. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, it'd be easier to believe it's full of plants. People breathing. Oh, Jesus Lord. Do doctors make money off vaccines? We are so, I don't know how many are going to graduate, folks. That type of stuff. It's just like, I don't think we're going to make it. I don't think we're going to make it. I don't know. I don't know. It'll be a last minute thing. We're like, oh, Jesus, we just barely made it. Do doctors make money off vaccines? Yeah, there's a lot of incentives pushed towards them. First, there's a study. Various providers in North Carolina, when receiving the maximum payments for reimbursement, they found some insurers were actually paying too much. Supposedly, when they get deeper into the study, it was dependent on very certain circumstances that they were sometimes able to take advantage of. Typically, it wasn't the case. It does sound like they're trying to make it sound like, well, the cost of the drug, and then they really weren't paying us anything extra to give someone to go in there and go blink with it. But we do find that there were some bonuses, though, that were being offered by insurance companies. Just a couple examples. Blue Cross Blue Shield, their network, supposedly of Michigan, was saying $400 per child who receives a set of 24 or 25 vaccine doses on or before their second birthday. This is why so many doctors push it and insist on it. And if you say no and question it, they kick you out. Why? Because it's based off of percentages, and in some cases it's just every child, so some doctors probably don't care in those cases. But when it's a percentage, that a certain percentage of your patients, and you get an enhancer, well, then they kick you out as a patient because you're screwing with their numbers. You see how they control that too? I mean, if you're making a whole bunch of extra money just giving 25 vaccines to one child in 2 years, and you've got 50 of those kids, dude, you're giving shots all day, every day, 365, right? Like, I mean, and you're getting all sorts of comps if you can get their percentage numbers to a certain place. Now they're going to kick that up. They're going to throw you a little multiplier on it or something. Aetna Better Health of Louisiana, 10 to 25 per member, depending on the level of COVID-19 vaccination coverage practice-wide. Per member. I assume that's patient. Molina Health of Ohio, $100 incentive for COVID-19 vaccinations. It's like the Ralphs I go to all the time. You walk by the pharmacy, they're like, have you gotten your vaccine yet? And it's like, what about me? Fuck you. Anyway, I'm sure it's because they get their money. Experts warn of hidden dangers in soft drinks millions enjoy every day. The diet soft drinks, fake sugar. I mean, if you didn't know this already, but they're saying now they're finally coming out with it. Aspartame is probably not good for you. Yeah. One of them, I don't remember which one, saccharin or one of there was a company. It was pretty funny. The story on it, the dude was trying to make a rat poison. And so they were working on a really effective rat poison. And for whatever reason, when he went home and then started eating his dinner, he was like, everything's tasting super sweet. What is up? And it dawned on him that it was actually the rat poison. He got it on his fingers. He didn't properly wash his hands before he went home. And he was tasting the rat poison, saccharin or whatever it was, NutraSweet or whichever. I want to say it was NutraSweet, whatever that one was. But that product was, it was a rat poison. That's what they were trying to perfect. And they were making it sweet, probably because rats like that. Probably addictive to rats. And us as well. And they just put it in our food. It's disgusting. Anyway. MAHA, I should say, chief medical advisor, claims evidence-based medicine has become hijacked by powerful commercial interests. This is the guy I think that just got recently kind of brought in. People are freaking out about him because he's got a reputation of being anti-vax. They use that kind of nonsense. But this guy's, he's what we want there, I think. I mean, you tell me.
But unfortunately, evidence-based...
Except he's British. I'm just kidding.
...medicine has become an illusion. It has become hijacked by powerful commercial interests. And as a result, we have an epidemic of misinformed doctors and misinformed and unwittingly harmed patients. This is the root cause of our healthcare crisis. What are those root causes? Biased funding of research that's funded because it's likely to be profitable, not beneficial for patients. Biased reporting in medical journals. Biased reporting in the media. Biased patient pamphlets. Commercial conflicts of interest. Defensive medicine. And last but not least, an inability of doctors to understand and then communicate health statistics. Somebody who I describe as a Stephen Hawking of medicine is Professor John Ioannidis at Stanford. The reason I call him the Stephen Hawking of medicine, he's the most cited medical researcher in the world. He's considered to have very high integrity. And in 2017, he published this paper called How to Survive the Medical Misinformation Mess. And he makes the point that 20 to 50% of all healthcare activity in the United States brings no benefit to the patient, is wasteful or harmful. That's quite extraordinary. Why? Again, he reiterates the fact that most published research is unreliable, offers no benefit to patients, and is not useful to decision makers. But why does this persist? Because most doctors don't know that. Medical knowledge is under commercial control, but most doctors and healthcare professionals are unaware of it. And then they lack the skills to be able to understand and critically appraise the reliability of medical evidence. And last but not least, most importantly, patients and families then get inaccurate medical information and therefore cannot make decisions that are going to be important for their health outcomes. Now, there's something really important for people to understand. And I spoke in 2018 in the European Parliament, invited at that point by MEP Nathan Gill, and I made a few very important statements that everybody needs to acknowledge. The pharmaceutical industry have a legal responsibility to provide profit for their shareholders. They do not have a legal requirement to give us the best treatment, even though most of us would like or presume that to be the case. But the real scandals are these. Those who have a responsibility to integrity and patient care, doctors, academic institutions, and medical journals, regulators collude with industry for financial gain. And in 2018, I said the situation has become so dire that honest doctors can no longer practice honest medicine. This is pre-pandemic.
Now, this dude's obviously not in our government, so I was wrong about that. But this point still stands. You've got these companies that are owning a lot of this information, so it's no longer FOIA in any way, but these companies then give money to politicians so they'll give their consent. Or these organizations we've come to find, FDA, their whole board, a bunch of them were receiving money over a majority. That's all it takes. Sometimes you want people to vote no, right? Otherwise it looks weird. So yeah, the best people are the ones that you give the money to. And you let the others just struggle and deal with it because they didn't play the game. It's a very interesting world. I wish people really, really, truly appreciated how much of it's greed driven. And I would ask any one of you guys, where's your dollar amount? Where would you be willing to sell out your country? What dollar amount is that? Is that $1 million? Is that $1 billion? Right? You're given $1 billion and we can get you to some other place and you'll never know. You can sell out your country. Would you do it? Or sell out your family, sell out a brother who maybe has secrets? Where's the dollar amount? And my question, hopefully, to most of you is there is no dollar amount. Money is not something that I live for or live like that doesn't guide me. And in which case, a bribe like that doesn't work. And you're certainly not necessarily craving power, so they can't really offer things like that. So it becomes very difficult to control someone like that. Those are the types of people we actually need in office, fighting for us, or protecting us at least, from the other bastards who won't. One thing protecting us is our healthy choices. And I'll tell you what, I love Healthy Home. Healthy Home's an amazing company. I really love their products. Love their products. Believe in them. Take them myself. Very much live by them. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Remember, stem cells are the cells that help heal you. As we age, these cell counts minimize, right? And so I just want to put everyone's heart at ease, okay? The stem products here, the stem active products here, or stem cell products, they're not putting stem cells in you. in no way, shape, or form. What they do is they put ingredients in you that causes your body to produce more stem cells than normal. It enhances your stem cell production by 25 to 40% within a very short period of time. And I'm talking minutes, half hour of taking the stuff versus, like days or anything crazy like that. Maybe if you take it every day, maybe it does take, but it enhances it quickly. And you'll start to notice, like in my case, I had a damaged shoulder. It healed up and no longer hurts when I work out. I've heard other people saying hip issues. I've heard this helping with arthritis. I've heard this helping with a number of different ailments people have had. When you need healing, stem cells are the ones that are like just androgynous cells that can become any cell in the body. You got damaged lung for whatever reason, right? Stem cells can go and become lung cells, muscle cells, tissue cells, whatever cells, blood vessel cells. Like if you need to heal anywhere, stem cells are what do it, and they do it well. So you want to make sure you've got extra of those. And then they talk about like antioxidants, right? It's just another example of this, but they talk antioxidants. That's because the oxidation that happens, that's why antioxidants are meant to pull oxidizers out of your body. The oxidation is damage. Damage gets healed by stem cells. Stem cells help with the damage. Yeah, sure, you want antioxidants, you for sure do. But the oxidant is what's happening to us as we age. We're having little things taking little bites out of us all the time. Little bastards, if you will. Stem cells help replace those bite marks, and that's what it's about. Balance, ladies, if you're going through the change, this is not hormone therapy. What it is it's plant-based ingredients that are going to help you sleep better, feel better, emotionally and physically. Temperature changes and all that nonsense. This helps balance your life again. You're going to find your relationships get better, and the people that are close to you are probably going to notice a difference as well. Highly recommended. It's a lotion. It's a transdermal lotion. So you put a little bit on your wrist, you rub your wrists together, and that's it. You did it. You're done for the day. Now, I know you might need to sit down and take a nap, or, oh my God, that was so tiring. I get it. You might have to. Plan your day accordingly. But it's that good, and it's actually making a huge difference. I'm getting some amazing feedback from people on the Balance product. Definitely want to try that out. One thing my girlfriend is addicted to, not in any sort of like she starts twitching, but what it's doing for her hair and her skin is friggin' amazing. She's just double dosing on it, which I think is crazy. You don't have to do that. But Amaze is, well, it'll amaze you. If you've got sagging skin, sore muscles, joint discomfort, all that stuff, that elasticity that's in skin comes from collagen. And peptides, the best way to get something into the body. You got both. It's a liquid, and it's absorbed very quickly. Collagen peptide's going to help with that. Your hair, your nails, all that good stuff. Skin. It is the most important protein in the body. Get that collagen in you. Make sure you're getting it in you every day, and you will be amazed at the differences you start to notice. So, again, incredible products. I love Healthy Home, right? Go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com, danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Prime, more energy, just big time. It happens within minutes of taking the powder. Powder's delicious, and it won't mess up your ketosis for the gym people. It's another way to get a little extra bump in your stump, if you will. I didn't mean it that way, but it kind of does that too, so whatever. STEM Active for Pets is another good one. This is about half the price of what you pay for adults, for people, and it does the same thing in your pet, and it'll actually raise their stem cells. So again, this is the thing that as we age, you'll be amazed. I've been taking it for months now, and I am very, very happy with the changes I'm seeing. I'm also still tripping heavily on the parasite cleanse. My God, the things they're all turning black. All of them in my on my chest, they were red. They've been red. There's a couple of them that are still holding on to some color, but it's like I'm almost sure these are like big parasites, man. It's like, anyway, they're changing. Everything's changing, and it's so cool. It's tripping me out. And the other thing that I told you guys, the dime size thing, oh my God, that's going away. Like, I barely can see it now. In fact, there's other splotches on my skin I'm noticing. I'm like, what? I didn't even never see that one before. So yeah, it's making a huge difference. Folks, I love you guys. I'm trying my best. I'm doing the products that I'm talking about. I'm seeing changes in my life. I am not just like some guy trying to make money. I mean, yes, you're helping the channel at the same time. By the way, when you join, if you join as an executive member, my recommendation, you get the best pricing. I don't get hardly any commission, and you actually can give people links and get commission yourselves. in an extraordinarily short period of time, I'm going to have a much easier way for, especially you guys, but everybody in general, to be able to get in touch with me. I have a meeting happening today that's supposed to kind of solidify some of this stuff. So in a very, very short period of time, I'm going to have a way for you guys to be able to get in touch with me easier. Now, it doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to be able to respond back. That's one of the problems with there being many of you and only few of me. But these things will be able to happen, and especially with stuff like the Healthy Home, because when you do become an executive member, there's some tricks that I can help you guys with to where you can maximize and make like additional money and stuff. So we need to find a way for you guys to reach out. So any of you executive members that actually have my email, hit me up, please. But otherwise, those of you that are members or executive members, I will have a way to get in touch with me soon, and please take advantage of that. I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to hunt you all down, and I've tried, but there are ways to help enhance your experience. And again, this is one of those things where if you're a content creator, this is an incredible product, especially if you've been using it and you're like, I could totally tell people about this product because I believe in it. I use it myself, like me. I'm telling you guys, this is a great way. If you're somebody that's, I don't care if you're a Substack, I don't care where you are, I don't care where you are. Videos, either bring it up like I do or put the link in everything you do. Like Twitter, you can put the link in a lot of stuff you do, right? Put it at the bottom of whatever you post. That's cool. There's a lot of ways to take advantage of this. No, I recommend it. It's an incredible product. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com, danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. When you shop, when you buy, they're going to give you choices. That's all I can say. All right. I've spent a lot of time on that, but that's cool. Says I guess. Britain, some weird stuff going on in Europe right now. And a lot of it's in England. Britain's new deputy prime minister branded MAGA a cult of white supremacists. Now, I mean, basically this is, this National Pulse is a British-owned, thing. But this is supposed to kind of get us a little fired up against Britain. Like, they want America to it sucks, Britain's going through this. And I don't know, maybe Britain wants America to somehow help, but I think that's absurd. Britain, you guys have been like the capital dudes of the world forever. And so, no, Britain, you need to take your country, not back, because it's a hard way to state it, because I think there are a lot of people are really pushing for a civil war, and I think you guys need to be smarter about it. You got Nigel Farage, you've got some angles that you can kind of come at it that we did. And I think there needs to be sort of a rallying or sort of a rally cry, if you will, from people within England to friggin' get your country back. Now, there's a big flag movement, which is super cool. Super cool to see that. Us Americans dig the flag for whatever reason, which is kind of stupid in its own right, but I don't want to even go there. But the flag is a very symbolic thing, a symbolic, the flag, and the hand over the heart, which is another one, by the way. That's another thing that's very, or the Pledge of Allegiance, that's a very Roman thing. That Rome's the only other country that ever did their hand over their heart like that, by the way. That's, like many say, Rome never fell, they just relocated. So, again, the world is more complex than many of us realize. Now, we do have more discussed with this individual. This is David Lammy, is the Britain's now former foreign secretary, as deputy prime minister, is replacing the scandal hit Angela Rayner. I think that's the one that had the mortgage problems or the tax issue, right? Britain just appointed a far-left Muslim to oversee migration. Dude, England, you're screwed. You guys have completely, fully been taken over by the deep state. Your king is, I'll say it, worthless. And you guys are in a world of hurt. Your prime, what do you guys call it? Parliament? Your parliament's full of shit, dude. Your parliament sucks, all right? Wise, you can't do any more damage to me. Fuck you, Wise. Wise is a stupid payment system that you should never use, by the way. Never. Horrible system. Any companies out there that are still using it, you should stop. Wise is stupid. Sorry, I've had a bad experience with you, Wise. That's why you canceled me. You canceled me because I say things about your government, because you're based in England. And so as a platform that canceled me for God knows what, you wouldn't even tell me what I did wrong, but you're making me sound like a criminal only because there's two companies that are my advertisers that use you to pay me. Yeah, fuck you, Wise. And the bullshit. It's just stupid. This Britain, you guys got to get your own shit figured out, man. 1,000 illegals arrive on the UK's Home Secretary the day this chick, Shabana Mahmood, her first day in office. 1,000 people just come running on to England. What's happening everywhere in the Western world? Why is that? That's so strange. Why do they keep flooding us with immigrants from other countries that had zero interest in assimilating into our Western world? Why would we ever do something like that? Nearly 900 Palestinian Action supporters arrested at a protest in London. I guess it was 890. We round up in England sometimes. We make it sound much bigger. 890 people arrested in London during a protest that was, it was like pro-Palestine. No, it was anti-Palestine action, I think, actually. So all of these people were like conservatives, basically. Conservatives that likely were stupid enough to show up there. This guy here, he doesn't look conservative, so maybe it is a bunch of lefties. I don't know. Can't tell, don't care. Frankly, a bunch of people got arrested. How about that? We'll just stick with the facts, Dan. Oh, it's not even... Oh, an additional 33 arrests for other offenses, including assault on police officers. So 857 people have been arrested under anti-terror laws. I feel like those are the ones that were tied into conservative-type people. That's what I'm thinking. This European country has adopted a law to lock up rejected asylum seekers who don't leave. Greek. Yeah, Greece is the word. Bet you heard. It's got groove. It's got meaning. They also kick your ass out of their country. Chow, chow, chow. Greece is the time, is the place. Okay, maybe too soon. All right, whatever. It's okay. You don't have to hate me. So mean. So strong. Trump to sign executive order penalizing nations detaining Americans. Is it penile? That's the difference, huh? It's so close, it's funny. I just don't know. Us people, us guys, they can give us a wiener. We're like, oh my God, this thing's cool. I love this thing. You can write your name in the snow. Dude, we love it, man. The wiener's the greatest invention ever. Up there with lighters, mobile fire. I'm telling you, right there. I can pee on the go and I can start a fire someplace easy. I'm not sure which one's more important. Depends. Catch me on a different day. Answer changes. All said. Do not travel list, bunch of countries. For detaining Americans, too, by the way. This is, I think it was North Korea. No, who was it? There was some story recently. I mean, Russia didn't necessarily detain. It was for smoking pot. It was that Gaynor dude, or whatever her name was, in the WNBA that I've seen with the shirt off multiple times, and there's nothing there that would indicate any sort of breasts, or breasts that once exists, or breasts that they look like man boobs, and they're not even much. They're not even pecs. They're just flat. I don't feel like the name's in here. As I just talk about stuff I'll probably regret later. I don't see it. So yeah, whatever the hell is. There's some nations we're adding to that list. Trump signs executive order. Oh, sweet. On this about. So hopefully we'll learn more rather than my stupidness.
This, the 201st executive order, sir, this relates to hostages and wrongfully detained Americans. This provides a new legal mechanism to declare foreign countries to be countries that engage in those sorts of practices and gives your administration powerful tools to get American hostages out. This has been a focus of your administration this time around. Adam Bowler's here. And he's done incredible work already. This will give him even more.
I think it's great, and Adam's tools. Amazing.
This, the 201st executive.
Yeah, so that's that. Adam's amazing. All right, we're almost there. So my web guy just hit me up too. I got to hook up with him. French hospitals told to prepare for a major military engagement within 6 months. Not sure what's happening there, but Europe wants the fight to expand somehow, whether it's Russia or maybe China. Maybe China's next. There is some interesting experiences happening. There's, I want to say, like 8 islands or whatever the hell that are Japanese owned, officially as far as the United States is concerned. And China is starting to try to sort of take control of them. They're supposedly uninhabited, but could offer strategic significance in a number of ways. And it does expand China's reach into areas that United States is typically controlled, and this is why we want to shift a lot of our resources more towards this part of the world, because we need to start kind of sort of pushing China back into their own area and stop letting them just wander aimlessly So when we start getting ships in there and they try to start shooting water hoses on us, I'm sure we're going to have some sort of more annoying way to bug them than just shooting water at their ship. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Shiba, he's resigned apparently, as critics call his African hometown program a gateway to mass migration. Again, another person that dialed into the deep state has two-stepped down. They killed the other guy. You remember what has led up to this? I forget when they killed him, but it wasn't that long ago. So I don't know if that was just before Shigeru or if that was 2 people before Shigeru Shiba. I don't know when that actually happened, but feels cooler to say it that way, I feel like. One of Russia's largest oil refineries once again on fire, as another drone strike happened from Ukraine. Russia hit the Ukrainian Capitol building, government building. They said it was the capital with the drone strike. So I'm not hit Ukraine's capital, Russia. So Kiev, and it hit a government building. There we go. Let's get the facts straight, Danny boy. Let's get those facts straight. Russia attacked Ukraine with 810 drones and decoys. I don't even know if that's extra on top of. They supposedly stopped 747 of them. I find these numbers very interesting. And 4 missiles of the 13 were stopped. Again, 1, 4, 1, 3. The numbers are so fun. According to an Air Force statement. So they downed a bunch except for, 54 drones and 33 locations got hit. Again, just the numbers. If you just look at it's just these stories don't even, they can't be real anymore. I don't know. There's it's bugging the crap out of me. 9 number I love. 33 is I think a powerful number, though. I'm sure the occult has definitely tried to do negative things with it. 13 is another powerful number that the occult's done stuff with. 747, not sure. And 4 is the number of death in Chinese, right? I think it is Chinese. So again, I don't know. Whatever. Bad stuff's happening all over the place. Don't let the bad stuff get you. And what was this? Oh yeah, we've got that cool video I want to show too. I'm gonna go long as it is, but Mike Tyson's gonna be fighting Floyd Mayweather. They agreed in an exhibition fight. So just letting you know. Well, when is it? Because that's what people are gonna ultimately go down. It is spring of 2026. We got plenty of time to wonder about that. Pole shift acceleration. This is actually really good. I'm going to close out with this. But first, what I do want to start with, which I think is kind of interesting, is this pilot and influencer, Ethan Guo. He's finally been released from an Antarctic air base, a Chilean country-controlled air base. They supposedly let him land there about 2 months ago. It's taken a while before they would let him take off again. Might have had more to do with the time of year. It is winter time there, and it was in the dead of winter when he landed, so that was partially why he supposedly chose to land there. But it was on Antarctica, they say. This dude wanted to fly. He's wanted to be the youngest person ever to fly on every single continent of the world, and he was able to do exactly that, and he was able to even go to the infamous shelf and land there, so... That said, pretty cool stuff. I do think it's a globe. I hate to say it, but I think the electric field is part of that too. Makes sense. I don't know how you explained that from the standpoint of a, south, I guess, would usually imply towards the pole or towards where Antarctica is. But if it's just that ring around, I guess the north would always point to the center. I guess that would be your guys' argument. But anyway, magnetic fields and northern lights and just the stuff that seems to happen from it is kind of trippy. But again, I'm not here to try to prove right or wrong, and I don't care what you necessarily think. For any of the guys out there that have access to me, please don't send me your flat earth stuff, and don't send me stuff that would prove it's round, for that matter, either. I don't want to see it. I've seen a bunch of it. I am not interested. It's a waste of time, period. That said, I think the magnetic field is one of the biggest problems we have. One thing that's very cool, and I want you guys to pay attention to this, and we'll make this larger. 1590, oops, I can put myself in here, and at least I can say goodbye to you guys. 1590 is the year, and you're going to notice the acceleration starts very heavily right around 1850-ish or whatever, which is about 100 and 200 years ago, frankly, or 170 years. Like, it's, everyone says, that takes hundreds of years to happen. Yep, and hundreds of years is exactly what is playing out. And the acceleration and the way Ben talks about it, The acceleration curve is pretty crazy. And so I want you guys to pay attention because I think this is one of the most important issues we've got going on. Space Weather News is the channel. Dude's a rock star. I love Ben, and he's gone through some personal issues lately. And Ben, I hope you're doing well. If for some reason you're watching my show. Love you. Guys, take care. We're doing this together. And we couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, that's for sure, without you. And it would be sort of pointless for me to be here without you guys. You guys are what's making this possible. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.
Welcome to the new government tracking of the Earth's magnetic pole shift. The brand new site is up and kicking and much better than the old one. We're running the magnetic North Pole motion here, slowly traipsing around northern Canada for a few centuries, and then the acceleration. The magnetic pole shift is a cyclical event on Earth, and it's pretty major. NOAA experienced it. They line up with the Younger Dryas catastrophe, the last glacial maximum, and every Heinrich event in the last 50,000 years. Major losses of species come with every event, and earlier today, in the morning show, we covered 2 special reports by ALLATRA, a collection of scientists who have also come to the conclusion we're about to experience Earth's disaster cycle. Now, I want to be clear. I have major questions about this group and especially their ringleader, but when they cite their sources, I can review it myself, and there is a lot of good stuff in here. That's what I'm going to show you. In the first report, they identify the fact that there are magnetic anomalies, not just climatological ones, and that can't be blamed on human pollution. In fact, we're seeing changes on the other planets too. It's a solar system shift. But it was the other report that really spun me sideways yesterday, and we're going to go over key points and then 2 scary points I mentioned this morning. So first, excellent job identifying the fact that Earth's rotation speed is increasing, shortening the length of a day. It's another thing you can't blame on humans. They break down the 1990s pole shift event that sent us from losing 5% of the field per century to 5% every decade, and which shot the movement of the poles into overdrive, along with it taking an abrupt and unexpected 90-degree turn. In a brand new Earth change for the list, they found a paper I missed from 2017 highlighting a molten jet stream in the core, and it's speeding up, which nobody subscribed to my channel finds surprising, I imagine. And of course, their main point was that they think the major event of this cycle will be the reawakening of the Siberian traps, and oh boy, I hope not. It was the greatest volcanic event in Earth's history. It erupted for 1 million years, changed the planet forever. But it was the next 2 images I'm going to show from the report that really caught my attention. I'm not actually too worried about the Siberian traps. First, this is what I was trying to explain to you guys a couple weeks ago. The magnetic pole shift progression is not linear. It goes up and down year to year, but with a long-term trend towards that acceleration and the pole shift. Outstanding identification here of that moment of acceleration where we started shifting 10 times faster. That is easily visible on the magnetic pole motion tracker. The dots are year by year, so if they're closer together, pole is moving slower. Further apart means the pole is moving faster, and that's the speed up right there. I went ahead and actually did maximum velocity plots going backwards so you can see how before the 1850s everything was nominal, normal pole motion. The weakening had begun, but this is when the pole shift in total began. Now, going along with this is something I noticed in their motion minus Chandler wobble graphic. Folks, I live and breathe this data, and at no point did I ever think to do this. I had long suspected that the major accelerations occur after the slowdowns, like it's taking a breath, gearing up to lurch forward again. Folks, that's exactly what is shown here, and there is no good way to mathematically or even qualitatively show this without first removing the Chandler wobble, which I never thought to do. After every single slowdown, which all include a curvature of the motion vector, there is a major leap forward in speed and progress in the magnetic pole shift. And yes, it's clear we just had our curve in the vector, the slowdown or stalling of speed acceleration, and that means there is only one thing coming next. The major concern is, of course, that this will be the acceleration that takes us over the edge. I do hope we remember the now famous studies confirming that these magnetic pole shifts accelerate to rapid speeds that can bring the shift in less than 100 years. We have already eclipsed that time in this event, so it's anyone's guess how much time we have left. How much time until the acceleration reaches 100 times faster than modern shift rates? That is where we're going. If we were to hit that rate tomorrow, the world ends before 2030. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I have long said that math is suggesting the pole shift should occur a bit before 2050, in the late 2040s. But that is an extrapolation. It's not a crystal ball. I'm not Jesus. Folks, we await the next acceleration, the next recurrence of Earth's disaster cycle of space radiation and climate chaos and animal navigation failures, not to mention the fact that we now have the new risk in modern times of losing every power grid at the same time. Folks, the end of the window is unchanged, but now, instead of it being sometime in the late 2040s, I'm now going to say it could be anywhere from 2030 to the late 2040s. We will see what the data shows. Again, we are awaiting the next acceleration. I'll see you in the morning for the Daily Show. Be safe, everyone.